What's up, everybody? Good morning and a happy Tuesday, everybody. DK Show up on the air on your radio dials 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online at sportstalk1051.com. You've got your smart devices, smart speakers, the app, download it, take it on the go. Video streams are also up and rolling here this morning. But a big thanks for making us a part of your starts on this Tuesday morning, a grind my gears Tuesday morning. What do we got on the good old game plan for us? Well, we're going to talk a little hoops. Technically, the NCAA tournament, Division One men's college basketball tournament begins tonight. Get a couple playing games at St. Francis. The Red Flash going up against the Alabama State Hornets, and then North Carolina versus San Diego State. So those games tipping off the tournament tonight. So we'll have a couple more tomorrow. Play-in games that include Xavier and Texas, and also Mount St. Mary's and American University. Then we're here to Thursday with the real opening round. So we'll talk a little hoops. Don't forget to sign up for our bracket challenge. That is at our website, sportstalk1051.com. You can check it up over there. Sign up for free. Go to our website, click on the Fan Cave tab, and scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you'll see the icon. Brain fart there. Icon there. Click sign up. Boom. Easy. Free. Doesn't take you too long. So get those picks in, baby. Speaking of hoops, Bucks are back in action tonight. They'll be taking on the Golden State Warriors, game one of their West Coast trip. And Bucks did get help from their neighbors, the Timberwolves, falling to the Pacers yesterday. So that would have been nice to get a little bit more breathing room, but nonetheless, wasn't in the cards for the Milwaukee Bucks last night. So, but they'll be at it tonight, going up against the Golden State Warriors. So we'll talk a little Bucks here this morning. We'll talk some Brewers. Brewers yesterday revealed that Tobias Myers will begin the season on the injured list with his oblique strain. Pat Murphy, though, saying it's a little bit better news than we thought because he could return to action before the end of April. So now it remains to be seen who will potentially replace him in that starting rotation. Could be Logan Henderson, possibly making his debut. Maybe they go with a little bit of a bullpen start, but yeah, kind of a bummer to not have Tobias Myers to begin the season. But I guess if we were to look at it from a positive standpoint, we can say, well, at least potentially he could be here at the end of April. So, but maybe another thing to kind of keep an eye on. Bryce Terang. Bryce Terang's got some arm fatigue going on right now. So Brewers apparently were close. I was reading a little bit this morning from Adam McCulvey at Brewers.com. Brewers were close to naming Bryce Terang their starting shortstop, but he's dealing with some arm fatigue right now. I did undergo an MRI on Monday after reporting some arm discomfort while playing catch. The MRI showed no structural damage, and it sounds like, he'd still be able to go, after a couple days rest, 3-5 days rest. It sounds like that opening day he still could be able to go there, but maybe that means he stays at second base. So had a little bit of a scratch or an adjustment in the lineup yesterday. Ortiz originally was at second, but they scratched and put Ortiz back at short yesterday. So we'll see how it all kind of plays out and such, but something to kind of keep an eye on. After yesterday, we were just talking about, hey, it might be Terang at short and Ortiz playing second. Now it might be back to what we originally thought, Terang at second and Ortiz at short. So we'll see how it all kind of plays out, but something to kind of keep an eye on. You don't like to hear that when it comes to Bryce Terang. So, but we'll talk some Brewers this morning. Talk a little Brew Crew as we inch a little closer and closer to opening day. Which right now we got games that matter. Got the Tokyo series that's going on right now between the Dodgers and the Cubs. So if you want some early morning baseball going on right now. Cubs winning right now 1-0 in the top of the fourth, but it looks like the Dodgers are threatening right now with 2 on and 1 out. So early morning baseball for y'all. Talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk a little green and gold. I'll tell you right now, green and gold, they are a part of my grind my gears this morning. They are part of my grind my gears this morning. So I'll hold on to that. Oh, it looks like the Dodgers just nope. Runners on the corners with 2 outs. So but what is your grind my gears? You can let us know by hitting us up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912, or you could comment on the various video streams. We'll catch up with RJ Cardinal in a couple hours from now. We'll talk some Badgers. We'll talk about Badger hoops, seeded number 3. How does he like the matchups? We'll talk a little Badger hockey. We'll even throw some Badger football talk in there because we had some spring practice going on for the Badgers. So all things Badgers with Mr. RJ Cardinal coming up in just a couple of hours from now. So we are going to touch on a little bit of everything here this morning. So let's get at it. Pitter patter, let's get at it. And whatever else is on your mind, whatever else you've been thinking about, or if you got a topic at hand, share it with the rest of the class. Easiest way to do that is, again, just hitting us up with a text or commenting on the video streams. So let's get things rolling here this morning. All right, we'll take our first break, and then we'll get the leadoff going and jump right into it this morning. Oh, looks like the Cubs escaped the threat. So they hold on to a 1-0 lead heading into the bottom of the fourth. All right, we'll be back in just a couple minutes. This Friday, put it on your calendars. If you haven't done so already, watch a little hoops with us at the VFW Post 305 on Star Avenue. We'll be over there starting around 11 a.m. We got some free man cave lights while supplies last. Free man cave light pint for everybody. So stop on by. We got some prizes we're going to be giving away, including some Brewers tickets with their home series against the Reds, the first full weekend of April. So starting April 4th through the 6th, we've got tickets for that Friday series, Saturday, and Sunday. And all you got to do is just show up and sign in. That's it. That's simple. You don't have to do anything else. We're not going to ask you to run a mile or hit a bunch of three-pointers in a row or anything like that. So stop on by again this Friday, VFW Post 305 on Star Avenue, starting around 11 a.m. All right, let's get things up. So I wasn't going to do this to open it up here. I was going to save it a little bit, but I'm going to open up with a little grind my gears. Because it was kind of grinding my gears yesterday when the news came down. And I'm like, okay, this is what's gonna probably be my grind my gears. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna let it marinate a little bit. Gonna let it be, maybe take a little side, take a step back, take a little bit of a breather here, think about it, and see if I kind of, change my opinion, change my thoughts. And nope, I didn't. So yesterday, the Eagles signed Aziz, the pass rusher from the Giants, that a few of you have mentioned that you'd like to see the Packers go out there and sign to help improve their pass rush. And he was, like I said, not only just our listeners, but kind of a very popular name out there for last year. He played for the Giants, just 11 games, 6 sacks though. He'll be 25 when the season starts. He's from Georgia, played over Georgia in 46 career games. He already has 22 sacks. Probably, and you look at his last 3 years. I mean, his rookie year in 2021, he played 17 games, but in his last 3 years, he's dealt with some injuries. 2022 played in 7 games, but he had 5.5 sacks. 2023, 11 games, 2.5 sacks. This past year, 11 games and 6 sacks. And he was still out there. He was still a free agent. And I know I had been talking about, like, okay, I kind of wonder if Green Bay is going to use their remaining cap space to try to re-sign some of their guys like a Zach Tom and take some of that cap hit and such. And we've been seeing the money that is being thrown out there for edge rushers and that. So I was maybe trying to kind of tell myself all this a little bit, and I still believe it for a lot of it. But when I saw the deal that Aziz Ojulari from the Giants signed with the Eagles, I'm like, okay, you're telling me Green Bay couldn't sweeten the pot just a little bit to get him over there? And I don't know. Like, I don't know if Green Bay was in it. I don't know if they were active. We know Philly is all about Georgia defenders too, so maybe that was a draw, or just the fact that he was going to Philly maybe was a draw in itself. I don't know. Okay. However, when he signs a 1-year, $4 million deal to go to the Philadelphia Eagles, if that's all that it costs, or if it would have even cost 1 year and $5 to get him to come over to Green Bay, why, oh, why did Goody not pull the trigger? Like, that one, like, I was resigned to myself. I'm like, okay, he's probably going to get maybe a 1-year deal, but it's probably going to be like double digit, like maybe a $10 million or something like that. But 1 year and $4 million. Again, maybe I'll give it a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. I don't know if they were involved in negotiations. I don't know if they were talking. I don't know if he was on the list for Green Bay, and maybe he just wanted to pair up with his fellow Georgia Bulldogs on that Philadelphia defense and stay with the division. Maybe there's all that. But if Green Bay wasn't even involved, then it would have cost just $4 million. And the cap hit might even actually be a little bit smaller depending on the structure of the contract. Like, I get it. He's just a pass rusher, a specialist. Okay, I understand it that he's just viewed as a probably third down pass rush specialist and not going to be a full-time player. But here's the thing, you already do a rotation, for crying out loud. You already go and do that. You've already said how many times you need to improve your pass rush, and you have yet done nothing. And it sure looks like you're focusing on draft. You're putting pressure. I'm talking to Goody right now. You're putting some darn pressure on yourself to hit these draft picks. You're putting pressure on your scouting staff that you better hit on these draft picks. You're putting pressure on your coaching staff now. Like, okay, you got to get more out of Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness and these guys. You gotta bring more. You got to do a better job with that. And I mean, 1 year, $4 million. We couldn't do that. We couldn't do that to bring in a situational pass rusher, but for crying out loud, if we're an injury away to a Rashawn Gary or whatever, I get it that, okay, they're going to have to play on every down, but for crying out loud, if our main thing is trying to improve the pass rush and get after the quarterback, why can't we just bring in somebody that could be a specialist in a pass rush for 1 year, $4 million? Again, maybe Green Bay was in, but I'm gonna say they weren't, or if they were lowballing it for Aziz. But man, that was frustrating for me yesterday because I think I had resigned to the fact that all of the money that was being thrown out there for edge rushers, pass rushers, and such, I was like, okay, he's gonna get probably a deal because he's still young. He's going to be 25 when the season starts. He's entering his 5th year. Still young. I'm like, somebody's going to give him probably double-digit money per year. Nope. 1 year, $4 million. So that one, like, I can sit here and spew and make up excuses for some of the other signings and such. This one, I can't. I can't. And I'm sure there's others saying, no, he's just, he's not a 3-down player and such. And that's your opinion. That's your right and such. And I understand it. But given the fact that we already do a rotation and, Rashawn Gary doesn't play 80% of the snaps or any of these other guys don't play, higher than 80% of the snaps, you're already part of the situation or the rotation and such. So, golly, one time, can you take a chance on a dude who has proven that he can rush the passer? Can you take a chance? And maybe he's a little bit smaller than your defensive ends, but for crying out loud, can we do something to get that pass rush going a little bit? So that's my grind my gears was that move that Philly got another dude. Philly got another edge rusher to go into their defense. And it's like, son of a gun. That was the one that was grinding my gears this morning. So, stinks. But seriously though, like, okay, we got the draft coming up next month, and you look at what else is available and such. Oh, it looks like Dodgers tied it up. Oh, no, Dodgers just took the lead 2-1 against the Cubbies. So, but you look at the moves and then the lack of after the first couple signings. Goody's got to hit this draft. He's got to hit this draft, and he's got to get guys that can contribute now. He can't get the projects. He can't get the raw players. I think a lot of us are just like done with that. We want somebody that can contribute right now. I mean, I'm looking at the updated from NFL.com, Greg Rosenthal's list of best available free agents. There's still some veteran wideouts if that's the route they want to go and pick up somebody. But in terms of edge or pass rushers, I mean, it's slim. Zadarius Smith ain't coming back. He's had nothing but bad things to say about Green Bay. Now, maybe bygones could be bygones in that, but I don't hold your breath on that one, for crying out loud. And there's really nothing left after that. So Goody has put himself right here. Like, I got to go into the draft and I've got to find somebody now that, that can help out my defense, that can help out my pass rush, somebody who's ready to go. Now, I will say this, all the draft experts and the pundits out there have said for a long time now, this is a draft that has some loaded pass rushers, that it is fairly deep, that it has options there, and there could be options available for Green Bay when they pick, if they stand pat at their spot. So, I mean, there is that. But again, are you going to be willing to throw them out there? And then you're putting a lot of pressure on your new position coach, your new defensive line coach, to get the most out of these guys. I mean, whether you look at this past offseason, Packers moving on from their defensive line coach, bringing in a new one, maybe a little bit of a scapegoat situation, but it's easy that the defensive line did not adjust to the new style defense. It's a production-based business, and they weren't getting it done. So now you're got a new guy in. You're putting a lot more pressure on his shoulders by, like, okay, I got to get something out of Lucas Van Ness. I got to get better performance out of Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark in that. And it's like, oh, why not make it easier? Goody, why not make it easier on these guys and do a move like that or so? It bugged me. So I had to. That's my grandma gears for this morning. Not to be all dramatic in that, but that was the one that like just seeing that deal and seeing that it went to the Eagles. It's like, that was frustrating. So with this draft being in Green Bay too, I'm really curious to see how this is all going to play out for Green Bay. I'm sure, maybe is there somebody out there they could do a trade for? Sure, why not? You can always throw that one out there. It's a possibility, but I mean, how many teams are just going to be willy-nilly about giving up a pass rusher or defensive lineman, considering that's a premium spot, that's a premium position in this league. And I think a lot of us were expecting Lucas Van Ness to take the jump in year 2. And I don't want to necessarily give up on him after a couple years. But dude, when we talk about guys, when we get closer to the season, we talk about, okay, this is a guy that's got to really step up. This is a guy that's just he's got to make that jump. He's got to make that leap this year. I think you look at Lucas Van Ness, if he's not number 1 on that list, he's towards the top. He's towards the top there. You could throw in a Rashawn Gary. You could throw in a Kenny Clark. You could throw in a Devontae Wyatt if you feel like, maybe more so in the part of he's just got to stay healthy so he can get out there. I don't know. Maybe Green Bay's given more opportunities to Cox and such, but man, this is a big time draft for a team that is, quote unquote, about time that they got to start competing for championships. To quote Goody, and this was his time. This is his time of the year to help his team compete for championships. And yeah, I mean, behind, if you look at kind of your base 4-3D, it's Van Ness, it's Kenny Clark, it's Devontae Wyatt, it's Rashawn Gary, and then it's Enoch Barre. Hopefully, maybe. I mean, but he kind of took a step back last year, and Brenton Cox Jr. and I don't know. All right, that's my grind my gears though. So let's switch over. I mean, we could do another grind my gears if you want. Brewers, Tobias Myers, left left oblique strain. But I guess if we want to look at it from a positive standpoint here with Tobias Myers, Brewers still feel like he could potentially be back before the end of April. So maybe a couple starts here, a few starts before he's back. Pat Murphy saying yesterday, quote, "It's a little better news than what we thought." But Tobias Myers exited that game on Saturday against the Angels with that discomfort. So it's a big loss. I mean, we've talked about this pitching staff here for the Brewers, specifically the starters, and you look at it, it's like, okay, they've got some depth, they've got some experience there with obviously Freddie. You bring in Quintana, you bring in back Aaron Savali, you bring in Nestor Cortez as part of the trade with Devin Williams. You've got some veterans. Then the guy that had the least amount of experience, but was probably their best starter down the stretch last year was Tobias Myers. And then, you can kind of ease back Brandon Woodruff, and it's like, all right. But now the injury to Tobias Myers factoring in with Aaron Ashby, who had a right oblique injury. He's been out. DL Hall's out with an injury too. Now you're like, who's going to be that guy that fills in? Might be Logan Henderson, who right now is the Brewers' 13th prospect, according to Major League Baseball's pipeline ranking. So Logan Henderson might be that guy. Right-hander, former fourth-round pick in 2021. I was reading a little bit with his scouting reports from the pipeline. Says Henderson was a wonderfully accomplished pitcher at the JUCO level, as the national leader in strikeouts and in the junior college World Series MVP in 2021. The 5'11" right-hander has developed 2+ pitches in his 91 to 94 mile per hour fastball and 80 to 82 mile per hour changeup. His heater averaged over 17 inches of induced vertical break at AAA, placing it above many bats at the top of the zone. Henderson repeats his delivery well, rarely pitching out of a full windup, and he's become a regular strike pumper at the upper levels. That said, he can get hit around if the fastball seeps below the top of the zone or he doesn't bury the changeup. So it sure seems like it may be Logan Henderson getting a shot. It's not going to be, I don't think it'll be Jacob Mizorowski right away. I think we're going to see Jacob Mizorowski at some point this year. I just doesn't feel like that's going to be the case. Robert Gasser, we know, is not going to pitch at all this year. I mean, the earliest is September. So, I mean, that's probably not going to happen. Next man up is going to be Logan Henderson. And from everybody who covers the Brewers and such, could be him. It could be Tyler Alexander if you stretch him out a little bit. Maybe Connor Thomas, the Rule 5 drafts. You got Rodriguez and spot starts there too. So maybe it just kind of depends on, do they view this as an extended stint or short term? Again, they said hopefully by the end of April, but do they want to push it? Do they want to try to put that timeline there? Do they, it's beginning of the season, they may elect to be a little bit slow and a little bit more cautious. So if they want an extended stint, it might be Logan Henderson. If they are confident that they feel like it's going to be a shorter stint for him, maybe they go with a Tyler Alexander or a Connor Thomas and for some of those short stints. So Henderson did pitch yesterday for the Brewers and such. So a lot of eyes on him. Could he be that guy? Could he be that guy that comes in and replaces it? And looking at, I was kind of following a little bit yesterday on social media. I mean, still, it was kind of maybe the best way to kind of follow some of the stuff out there was little up and down for Logan Henderson. So, but yesterday's game, Jackson Churio though was on it. He get that guy to Milwaukee, get the season started because Jackson Cheerio was on one yesterday. Dude was on fire in their game against the Padres. And you look at the spring that Jackson Cheerio has had so far for the Crew. It's hard not to get more excited about what he could do this year. Cheerio was 3 for 3 yesterday, including a couple of doubles. So far this spring, when you look at what Cheerio has done from the plate, he's hitting 486 in 37 at bats, a 525 on base percentage, and a 1.22 OPS. And that's no dingers, no home runs for Jackson Cheerio so far in spring. That's not to say he's not going to get his 20 or whatever it's going to be this season. He had 21 home runs last year. But you factor in what he's doing at the plate this year. He's been playing every single outfield spot in spring training. It's hard not to get excited for what Jackson Cheerio could do this year. It's really, you're trying to maybe keep it in perspective or keep it in check here a little bit because you don't want to have super high expectations for this youngster. But the dude is just, it's hard not to get excited about the potential of what he could do in spring training or in this regular season, excuse me, because he is doing incredibly well so far in spring training. You just hope that it carries over into the regular season. And I think too, we gotta, we've talked about Joey Ortiz with his where's he gonna play? Is it gonna be short? Is it gonna be third? Is it now gonna be second? Is it gonna be back to short with Bryce Terang's arm fatigueness, which is something to kind of keep an eye on because they're gonna sit him down here for a couple days. Doesn't sound like opening day's in jeopardy, but it sounds like, he was trending towards being the shortstop. Now he's dealing with some arm fatigue, so he may be going back to short, or to seconds. But you look at what Joey Ortiz has done from the plate this spring training too. Hitting 375, an OPS of a 1.313, on base 500, couple of dingers, 4 stolen bases. We talk about the offensive production from this team and who's going to fill in for the power left by Willy Adames, who's going to do this, or, how are they going to score runs this year? Offense has been the biggest concern or biggest question mark for Brewers fans this year. But you look at what maybe Joey Ortiz has done so far in spring training. You look at what Vinny Capra, Oliver Dunn, hell, Reese Hoskins has been tattooing it from the plate. Garrett Mitchell's been solid. It's not going to be one guy. Maybe it's going to be a collective effort. Because if you can get Joey Ortiz, last year he hit 239. He had an OPS of a 727, on base 329, 11 home runs. He's not going to be a big power bat. But if you can get that guy hitting 275, 270, increase his batting percentage points by 30, between 30 and 35, that's a huge boost. That's a big boost. Guys I don't expect to probably continue their tear are going to be done in Capra. I hope I'm wrong. I hope one of those guys has a Jesus Aguilar type of season and such, but I'm not going to hold my breath. But you look at, Garrett Mitchell, we're expecting more power from him. We're expecting better, consistent offense from him this year. You look at a guy like Sal Frelick. He collected a couple of hits on Sunday against the Guardians. That's a guy we haven't really spent a whole lot of time talking about. And all he's done in spring training, too, is hit 389 with an OPS of a 1.046. So, these guys that are still young, kind of entering their second or third year so far, if these guys as a collective group can go out there and just be more consistent at the plate. Sal Frelick last year hit 259. But if he's going to be a 275 hitter, you just inch up some of those points, some of those numbers. Maybe this offense will be okay. not as powerful with no Willie Damas, but maybe as a collective group with these youngsters and maybe a little bit more from Reese Hoskins, maybe their offense will be okay. That's the optimistic approach. That's the optimistic outlook. Great numbers they're doing in spring training, but can it carry over to the regular season? That's the big question mark. And I don't know. None of us know. I don't know if they're going to be able to. You hope. That's why, I mean, I'm not expecting Sal Frelick to be over a 300 hitter this year. I'm not expecting Jackson Cheerio to hit almost 500 this year. I mean, flipping 486 right now in spring training. I'm not expecting Joey Ortiz to be hitting 375 in the regular season like he is right now in spring ball. But I mean, if we just get a little bit more out of each of these guys from an offensive standpoint, whew, maybe the offense will be okay. Calling upon these guys entering their second, third years to just do a little bit more from an offensive standpoint. All right, we got to take a quick break. Dodgers up 3-1. We're in the top of the sixth right now for this game in the Tokyo series. So there you have it. There's your update. We'll take a quick break. We'll finish up the first hour coming up after these quick words. When pain slows you down, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine gets you moving again. From sports injuries to joint pain and everything else in between, their expert team provides cutting-edge care to keep you active. Whether you need physical therapy, surgery, or a customized treatment plan, they're here to help you heal faster and stronger. Don't let pain hold you back anymore. Trust the specialists at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine to get you back in the game. I want to kind of throw an informal poll question out to you, Wisconsin sports fans. So I feel like there's a common theme in the last few months when it comes to the Brewers and the Packers. Which team, and it fits our Grind My Gears Tuesday here, but which team, in your opinion, has, or maybe are you frustrated more that you feel like they haven't done enough in the offseason to help bolster their team? Is there, between the Brewers and the Packers? I know the Brewers are set to begin their season next week. Packers are just kind of in the offseason right now. But is there a team between these two teams, which one frustrates you the most in terms of you wish they would have done more in the offseason? Is it the Brewers in terms of like, man, I wish they would have gotten more. I wish they would have gotten more bats, offensive help, a power bat at third base? Or is it the Packers, what we were just kind of talking a little bit about and kind of a theme throughout this whole offseason? Man, I wish they would have gotten a pass rusher and or a wide receiver. Which one kind of frustrates you the most? So think about that. Let me know. Okay. Think about that and let me know. Hit me up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Again, that number, 715-830-1912. Curious to see where you're all at on that. And maybe it's a recency thing when it comes to the Pack, because, we just got into the offseason with free agency, week and a half ago? A little more than that, but I feel like that's a common theme so far between the Brewers and the Packers. And I don't want to downplay the signings that Green Bay did make, with Banks and then Hobbs. I don't want to downplay that because, I mean, you bolster your offensive line with Banks. And I know there's a lot of talk out there that did they overpay? Did they give him too much? I think if you look at the structure of the contract, though, it kind of maybe is like, oh, okay, maybe they can get out of it after a year or so. The Hobbs one too. You look at, so like Green Bay spent, was it the ninth most top 10 amount of money in free agency, and it was just on two guys. But I think what was the stat? What was the statistic I saw? They spent like barely any in guaranteed money. Let me see if I can find it. I should have saved that on here. But like they didn't commit a lot of guaranteed money to their free agents. Let me see if I can find that here quick. Yeah, this was from Zach Cruz. Packers have spent almost $150 million on McDuffie, McManus, Banks, and Hobbs. They ranked ninth in total spending in free agency, but have only given $50 million out in guaranteed money. Only teams in the top 10 that didn't guarantee over 50% of the total contract values in free agency so far. So why is that a big deal? It's a big deal because Green Bay then, if they have to get out of it, they got to get out of that contract. It's going to be a little bit easier. To put it in perspective with some of the other teams with guaranteed money, you're looking at like the Patriots, and this was back on March 11th, but the Patriots, total guarantees, and I know they signed some big name guys, $101.5 million. We just talked about Jamar Chase's contract, or no, Derek Stingley Jr.'s contract yesterday. 3 years, $90 million, 89 of that guaranteed. Green Bay is giving out a total of $50 million guaranteed on their contracts. They have a way of doing business outside of quarterbacks. So it's kind of interesting. And I know the Aaron Banks deal is kind of structured a little bit differently too. So, but again, are they kind of doing a lot of this too because they know of what's coming up in 2026 with a lot of guys scheduled to be free agents and not a ton of cap space at this point in time? So hit me up. Which team are you maybe more frustrated or the most frustrated in right now with how their off seasons have gone or are currently going? Packers or Brewers? Because I feel like there is that common theme that at some points, at various points, we've complained about, did they do enough? Did the Brewers do enough? They should have gone out and got a power bat. Packers should have gone out and got a pass rusher. So yeah, let me know. Or just hit me up on the socials or comment on the video streams. Coming up, we're gonna talk some Bucks. Bucks are back at it tonight. Game 1 of their West Coast trip. Big game going up against the Warriors. A big stretch of games here for the Bucks in the final 15 games of the regular season. So we'll hit that up. We'll get to more of your grind my gears. RJ Cardinal will join us to talk some Badgers coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. So we'll hit that up. Talk a little Badger basketball with their seeding. We'll talk a little Badger hockey, Frozen 4. And then we'll talk some Badger football too with spring ball. Get some early glimpses, early thoughts on what's been happening at spring practice for the Badger football team. So we'll hit that all up with Mr. Cardinal coming up at about, let's say 8:15, 8:20 this morning. Just kind of a quick general landscape of where people are voting at right now. It's about 50-50. We'll go through some of the text though. Coming up a little bit later on, we'll finish up this first hour with Morgan. Good morning, Morgs.
Hey, did you do anything yesterday for St. Patty's Day?
No.
Do you know anybody that did?
No.
So you don't get into it ever? Or is it because it was on a Monday this year?
I've never really gotten into it.
Do you have any luck charms, like good luck charms? Because I know you're superstitious, like with the jersey thing and during certain seasons and you wear certain things, but do you have an actual physical good luck charm?
No, I don't. I did one time as a kid hold on to my lucky rabbit's foot during the 96-97 Packers NFC Championship game against the Panthers.
Okay, interesting you bring that up because we were just talking about this the other day. When you think of classic lucky charms, like some people have a coin or something like that. Rabbit's feet you don't see around anymore.
You don't see them, and I got mine out of a quarter machine.
Okay, I won mine at the fair.
Yeah.
I remember having it was white and tan, still had the claws and everything on it because, apparently. And I remember winning that thing at a fair, and they used to be everywhere.
Yeah.
Did we just collectively decide that we can't do rabbit's feet anymore?
I never thought of that, but yeah, because I know I got mine in a quarter machine out of Kmart in Medford.
Now, granted,
this
was
blue.
The same era that you could sit down, and get a pack of candy cigarettes to go along with it too. So I get that things change.
Yep.
But the last time I saw a rabbit's foot, I can't even tell you. And they used to be, it seems like in our childhood, they were everywhere.
Yeah. Everybody had them.
Yeah. You had blue. I had
a white one too, but I think I gave that to my grandma.
No, see, I had the white and tan one.
Huh.
So I don't even know if they'll make a comeback, like, low-rise bootcut jeans.
Well, you remember, speaking of the fair, the feathers that you put in the back of your hat?
With the clips that could take a finger off?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I put one of those alligator clips on my pinky once, and I couldn't use it for 3 days.
Everybody had to have those too.
And the mirrors, the fog mirrors that usually like unicorn or they depicted some kind of like
fairs used to be so cool back then.
Eagle or tiger or something like that. Yeah.
Deck out the man cave with some of those. Yeah.
You used to get legit stuff at the fair, not just floating fish.
I know. And then the dart with the balloon and getting those pictures. Yeah.
The same though. Think back to like Lucky Charms or something like that. Do you remember when cereal boxes had stuff in them?
Yeah.
And you would get your hand like elbow deep and go digging around for what used to be kind of legit stuff.
Yeah.
Cracker Jacks, same thing. Like we used to actually put toys and food and little trinkets inside of cereal boxes and things like that to just.
Tombstone Pizza used to put football cards and baseball cards.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
I got a bunch of them.
We should go back.
Pogs.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Pogs back in the day. What happened to bringing toys and food together?
Yeah.
That was a good idea.
It was.
But no longer.
Nope.
Good thing we didn't have the rabbit's feet in the actual food.
Yeah,
That would
that's
have
a
been a
good
little more
question
bad.
about the rabbit's feet, though.
Someone else has to have them floating around out there
Yeah.
too, or you still have your original one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Oh,
I mean,
man.
granted, I'm sure the four-footed rabbit are happy about it that we've, backed away from that habit.
Right? Or
But
was it really a rabbit foot?
and are we really lucky as we used to be? I don't think so.
No. Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Mars. 1
Anytime.
hour. We got a couple more to go. We'll be back after these news updates. Second hour kicking off right now on this Tuesday morning. A big thanks for tuning in wherever, however you're tuning in from. All right, we're going to get to some basketball talk here in a little bit with the Bucks tipping off against the Warriors tonight. We've got college basketball. The tournament officially begins tonight if you're counting the play-in games. Got Mount St. Mary's taking on American University. Wait, no, that's tomorrow. Is that tomorrow? Yeah, that's tomorrow. That's tomorrow's games. We gotta go to tonight. North Carolina, San Diego State. North Carolina might be the most popular team right now in the tournaments with everybody talking about them so far. And then, because I'm sure all of you have heard about these two teams, St. Francis, the Red Flash, and the Alabama State Hornets. So playing games officially begin tonight. So we'll talk some college hoops, especially with the Badgers coming up with Mr. RJ Cardinal a little bit later on this morning. First hour, we spent some time talking a little bit about the Brewers. Tobias Myers news that he's going to be missing some time. He's going to be looking at possibly, hopefully, end of April when he's back in the rotation for the Brewers. But now the question is it going to be Logan Henderson time for an extended stint? Could they do maybe an Alexander, stretch him out for some shorter stints and such? Remains to be seen at this point in time. Another injury concern to maybe kind of keep an eye on is going to be possibly Bryce Terang. Going to be Bryce Terang. So we'll kind of take a look at that. We'll revisit it again, but Bryce Terang's dealing with some arm fatigue, and it sounds like Pat Murphy was ready to name him the starting shortstop for the Brewers. But now with his arm fatigue, it might be going back to second base. It doesn't sound like there's any concern with him going into opening day, but maybe not playing at shortstop. So this has kind of been all over the place. I mean, it originally began that, okay, maybe Ortiz is going to be the starting shortstop. I think that's what everybody kind of thought. Majority of people kind of thought Terang was going to stay at second. Then, as of a few days ago, it looked like Terang was going to be short, then Ortiz at second. Now with his arm fatigue stuff, it looks like might be back to Ortiz at short and Terang at second. Kind of a mess. Before the top of the hour, I asked you, Wisconsin sports fans, which team's offseason has frustrated you the most? Has it been the Brewers? Now that opening day is going to be coming up next week. I know a lot of Brewers fans wanted to see the team maybe add another power bat, especially at third base and such. Or maybe doing a little bit more to kind of help improve the offense. Didn't necessarily get that. They did some stuff with the pitching, no question about it. But I think there's a lot of Brewers fans that still wanted them to add more offense, specifically to that third base side. Or has it been the Packers offseason that has frustrated you so far? They spent some money on a couple players and re-signing a couple of their own, Brandon McManus and Isaiah McDuffie. But a position that I think a lot of Packers fans wanted to see improved or added to, pass rusher, nothing. And for a lot of other ones too, they want to see another receiver, maybe a veteran receiver, nothing. So which team has frustrated you the most? Has it been the Brewers or has it been the Packers so far? Hit me up with a text or hit me up on the socials or comment on the video streams. So we'll get back to some more of those responses coming up in a little bit. Bucks, meanwhile, as we mentioned, back at it tonight. Game one of their West Coast trip going up against the Golden State Warriors. And right now, with the Pacers taking down the T-Wolves, the Bucks and Pacers have identical records, same exact records, 38 and 29. Pistons, one full game behind both of those teams. This is going to be a race to the finish in these final 15 games for the Bucks. And when we look at the remaining schedules for both Pacers, Pistons, and then you throw in the Bucks, Whew, this is going to be tough. Tough for the Bucks to finish in that 4 spot. Playoffs start right now, in my opinion, for the Bucks, because I think it's so important for this team to at least get that 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. I think they at least have to get that home court advantage, and then you get by the first round. We'll see what happens after that. But I mean, you look at Indiana's schedule, so they're home for the next 4 games. Dallas, Brooklyn, Minnesota. 5 games, excuse me. Dallas, Brooklyn, Minnesota, Lakers. 5 straight at home. Then they go on the road against Washington. At OKC. Okay. But then they're home for 3 more. Then they go to Denver. And then they're home. But they do have 2 of their final 3 against Cleveland. But they're spending a lot of time at home where they have a winning record, and they are a much better team at home this year. Of the top 6 teams in the Eastern Conference, 2 of the top 6 have losing records on the road. Pacers, Bucks. Both those teams rather be at home. That's why a first-round series at home for the Bucks is so important. Looking at the Pistons schedule coming up here as we wrap up this regular season. Miami, Dallas, Pelicans, San Antonio. You got Cleveland one more time. Minnesota, at OKC. Can be kind of tough for the Pistons there. Home against Memphis, Sacramento. So, I mean, the Pistons have a tough finish to their schedule. Home against Minnesota, home against Sacramento, home against New York, home against the Bucks, then on the road against the Bucks. So that is a tough finish for the Pistons. But we know this Bucks schedule is going to be brutal, specifically with this West Coast trip. At Golden State tonight, at the Lakers on Thursday, at Sacramento on Saturday, at Phoenix, at Denver, home against New York. Then eases up a little bit. Atlanta, Phoenix, Philly, Miami, Pelicans, home against Minnesota, home against the Pelicans, and then you wrap up at with 2 games against Detroit. I think, in my opinion, the best outcome for this West Coast trip, you've got Golden State, Lakers, Sacramento, Phoenix, and Denver. So 5 games. If you could get 3 out of 5, you take that. I think you take that. Bare minimum, you need 3. You're hoping for maybe wins against, for sure, Phoenix, I would say. Throw in Sacramento in there. And then if you can get one against Denver, Lakers, or Golden State. So if you can get wins, I would say are Sacramento and Phoenix for sure, and then steal one with the Lakers, Denver, or Golden State. Get 3 out of 5. I think that's a successful road trip. Go 3-2. Love 4-1 on the road. But if I'm being a little bit more realistic in this thing, I'll take 3 out of 2. And then you've got a huge game coming home next Friday, the 28th, against the Knickerbockers. But I'm curious to see how this Bucks team handles this road trip. But again, a team that has a losing record on the road this year. If they could come away with a winning record on this road trip, that's a win. And you take that any day of the week. But tonight's game, I'm nervous about, because you've got a Warriors team that is coming off of a loss against the Nuggets. However, Steve Kerr last night said Steph Curry might not be playing tonight, because Steve Kerr acknowledged that he's got to find some rest for Steph Curry, that he's exhausted. Kerr said after the game he's tired. Steph's been carrying us for a month. He's been amazing. He's tired, so we got to get him some rest. You can see it. He doesn't have his energy right now. Curry, for his part, said he feels fine, but Warriors could potentially rest Curry against Milwaukee tonight. If they rest Steph Curry tonight, and the Bucks got their full squad with Giannis and Dame and such out there, take advantage of that, get the win. You got to get that W. If Steph Curry's not on that court tonight, take advantage of that. Part of me still feels like we're going to see Steph. I feel like Steph Curry is that guy that's going to be able to convince his way to being in that lineup. But, we'll see what Steve Kerr does. Right now, the Warriors too, and that's the thing, the Warriors are in a fight to be in that top 6, so they avoid the play-in. They're currently holding on to that 6th spot, but you got Minnesota that is right on their heels. I mean, you're talking about percentage points that are only separating Minnesota and Golden State from a 6 and a 7. You got the Clippers that are just a game back. So, I mean, this is a Warriors team that has things to play for in terms of positioning. They're 3.5 back from that 5 spot. So, I mean, it's going to take a little bit to catch up to them to get up there a little bit. So, if they want to avoid that play-in, it's Steph Curry might have to. He may be tired. He may be exhausted. But man, they're hovering on that line too. So this is kind of like maybe a little playoffs here too for them. All right, let's take a quick break here. We'll get back to some of your texts and comments and such. We'll be back here in just a few short minutes. From fast breaks to buzzer beaters to block parties, there's nothing as exciting as basketball. With Underdog, you can bring that excitement to wherever you watch. Playing on their app is as easy as choosing higher or lower on player stats like threes made, points, rebounds, and more. Get those picks right, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Millions of fans have won over billions on Underdog. Will you be next? Join in on the fun by signing up for Underdog today using promo code Casper, and you will get a free pick as part of your first cash entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona and Massachusetts, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Looking at a couple of texts, the kind of informal poll question that we threw out in the first hour. Which offseason maybe has been a little bit more frustrating for you so far? Has it been the Brewers? Essentially, their offseason, I would say, is over with opening day tomorrow, and we got games going on right now that matter. It's Dodgers and Cubs in the Tokyo series. Dodgers winning right now. Has it been the Brewers? Because like, dude, man, they needed a power bat to replace Willie Adames, need a little bit more on the offensive side of things. Or is it the Packers? Because they spent money, but it was a guard and a corner, and they didn't get defensive lineman, defensive end, or a veteran wide receiver. It's about 50-50, but a couple of texts here. We've got Jim saying, for me, it's the Brewers. I still wish they would have gotten a power bat to play third base. I think they need that in the middle of the lineup. Hoping Rhys Hoskins and Garrett Mitchell can provide that power, but right now I'm skeptical. Ben says it's the Packers for their general manager to say we need to get home with 4 and improve the pass rush and not go get a pass rusher is frustrating. Another texter. This one is from David. David says, for me, it's the Brewers. Wish they would have done more on the offensive side. And then we've got Doug, who says it's the Packers. Their two biggest needs, in my opinion, were getting a veteran wide receiver and a pass rusher, and they did neither. So there you have it. It's about 50-50 right now. But let me know your thoughts. Hit me up with a text or comment on the video streams, or hit me up on the socials with your responses there. So we'll keep you posted. Or we'll get back to some of those. C-Bomb over here too says, I say Packers sitting on a pile of cash and won't use free agency to do anything. The Brewers are just being the Brewers, doing exactly what they do every year. Packers roster is sitting on the brink of being great, yet Goot doing his best. Ted Thompson and sitting on the wallet. I'm not saying overpay and break the bank, but get a wide receiver or a pass rusher. All right, we'll get back to some more of those coming up a little bit later on. Hoops Wise, the college basketball tournament. Don't forget to get your brackets in by visiting our website again, sportstalk1051.com, especially if you want to make some of those picks for the play-in and that. Time's running out, people. We got games today, the play-in games. Got a couple of them tonight. So get to our websites right now, sportstalk1051.com. Click on the fan cave and scroll all the way down to the bottom, or get to our Facebook page. The link is up over there too. You can do that with the link. So, we got quite a few of you already signed up, but don't forget to, once you just sign up, you got to get your picks in too. There's a couple people haven't made their picks yet. They signed up, but they haven't made their picks. So get those on it. And while you're at our website, don't forget you can sign up now for the 5th annual Casper Classic being held at Lake Hallie Golf Course this year. So everything's the same. 2-person team, $90 per team. Do the basic math. It's $45 per person, but it's $90 per team. Everything else is the same. Lake Hallie, August 1st, Friday. And if you want the 7:30 tee time, that's only going to be available for sign up until Memorial Day. Otherwise, you got the typical 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. tee times. And right now, that 10 a.m. one is going fast. So if you want to get in, got to head to our website and get your two-person team signed up today. But the college basketball tournament, Division One men's basketball tournament, beginning with North Carolina tonight, taking on San Diego State. Then you got the Alabama State Hornets versus the St. Francis Red Flash. So, I mean, I'll be honest. I know sometimes there's a team that wins a play-in game, and then they'll win a game or two in the tournament, but I guess I play the odds when I make my picks on my bracket, and I don't pick any of these. But it's here. I know I mentioned this yesterday. It would not surprise me in any sort of fashion. Would not surprise me at any bit if somehow North Carolina wins a couple games. Just because of all the talk. And it's right. North Carolina should not be in this tournament. And if that's what you want to do for a grind my gears, we'll get to some of your grind my gears coming up a little bit later on. You would be right, and you would be in the majority. There is no way, absolutely no way, North Carolina has a resume to be in this tournament. Now, I know West Virginia is suing, officials are suing and such, and attorney generals and that. I'm not going to get down that path and that, but that nothing's going to happen from that. But North Carolina being in this is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. They should not be in it. But I would not be surprised if somehow they go and not only win tonight, but maybe win a couple games in the big dance. And then you're going to have the people that said that they were in the committee and such is going to be like, yep, see, there you go. This is why we picked them. We knew what we were doing, people. Don't, don't, question us. We're the experts here. So, like, I think the worst thing that could happen, and I used to be a Carolina fan as a kid, and I was a big Roy Williams fan. But there's no way North Carolina should be in this thing. They don't have the resume to do it. I'm sorry. And I know we got Carolina fans that listen to the program, but I mean, come on. I think you know, too, that they shouldn't be in this thing. West Virginia is the team that should be in this tournament. So, but and I'll be honest, like, I love the tournament. I love watching Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, opening week in that. Playing games, I'll pay attention. I'll watch them, but I don't get excited for it. If there was a Brewer game on tonight or I know the Bucks are on later, those would get priority over NCAA play-in games. And this is where expansion, when they keep talking about expanding the tournament. Now, I know there's been different thoughts out there and ideas on how to expand it, but if we got to have more play-in games and that, I guess I'm not in favor of expanding the college basketball tournament. I wasn't in favor of expanding it to 4 to 4 more to get it to 68. I'm not really in favor of expanding it more to get it to, what was it, 72 or whatever the number, 76, 74 out there. I know it's kind of a push to get more, and it means a lot to those schools, and maybe some of those schools that aren't able to get in, they'll get in and maybe get their butts whooped, but they get the exposure, they get a little cash for the school and that, and it's awesome for the kids to experience that and get into the college tournament and that, but I just I don't want to see it expanded. I might be in the minority in that, but I love the tournament. I love it, but I love my typical Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all day Thursday, Friday opening week. Then the following week, when you get to the Sweet 16, a little bit later in the Thursday and Friday games, a little bit more in the prime time, get home after work and that and watch it, get in the Final Four. I'm more on that. I'm more on that side. But I'm definitely excited for this tournament because I think when you look at this bracket and you look at the matchups, And I know you got your favorites, and I know this was a year too where it was easy to figure out who the 1 seeds were gonna be. It was Auburn, it was Duke, it was Houston, and it was Florida. There was no drama surrounding who's gonna be the final number 1 seed on Selection Sunday announced. Is it gonna be Michigan State? Is it gonna be Alabama? Is it gonna be Tennessee? Could St. John's get a 1 seed after the run that they had this year, the finish, and then winning the Big East tournament? Could they get the 1? You know, you got a Big Ten team that's not even a 1 seed. No, there was no drama. We knew who the 1 seeds were gonna be, and by default, we had a really good idea who the 2 seeds were gonna be. It's like, yeah, it's gonna be St. John's, it's gonna be Michigan State, it's probably gonna be Alabama and Tennessee. So there was no drama with that, but I still feel like when you look at this, I don't feel like there is that uber dominant team. It's not like UConn from the last couple years or any other team is like, yeah, that's my lock to get into the national championship. That's my lock to get into the Final Four. I'm sure everybody's kind of got that one team when they're looking at it like, yeah, that's maybe your easiest path that you think. But I feel like there's going to be some really good there's some good matchups in the first round. There's going to be some really good matchups in the second round that, you know, an 8 or 9 seed that I think could give some troubles to some 1 seeds. But then when you get to the Sweet 16 and some potential matchups, I think there's going to be some good games. And it's going to be hard to make those picks when you get to your brackets. Are you going to pick those upsets? Or are you going to ride with a little bit of chalk and go with the top seeds and the favorites? I think my favorite, somebody asked me this, what's my favorite region? South, East, West, Midwest, in terms of maybe like competitive balance. And I was looking at it, and, you know, you got the West, who I think is just, I mean, you've got name power, star power over there with obviously St. John's and Rick Pitino. Then the Kansas and Arkansas game with Bill Self and John Calipari. Florida at the top. You got UConn with Hurley. Memphis with Penny Hardaway. You know, you got a lot of name power in that one. But I don't, and it took me a little bit to kind of look at which region was kind of my favorite. And I might go, I kind of went a little bit with the Midwest. And because you got Houston as a top seed, and in my opinion, is the top is the best defensive team in the country. But you look at your 2, and that's Tennessee. You got Kentucky as a 3. I don't know what version, you know, Kentucky, okay, they could be a spoiler a little bit. Illinois as a 6, I think could be dangerous. Purdue is a 4. Your 5 in this region, you got Clemson. Gonzaga, Georgia's in there. You know, as good as Houston is and defensively and such, I mean, UCLA is a 7. I kind of look at this one as like, okay, because to me, it's like, which versions of these teams are we going to get? Which version of Purdue are we going to get? Are we going to get the Purdue earlier in the season where it looked like they were the top team in the Big Ten? Or are we going to get the Illinois version where everybody's healthy and ready to go because they could be uber talented? Which version of Kentucky are we going to get? Tennessee's over there too. So I kind of went with the Midwest. Otherwise, too, like the Duke one in the East, it's Cooper Flag, and what and you can make the case for the East too, because you throw in the injury to Cooper with Duke. Wisconsin, I think you can say, okay, which version of Wisconsin you get? BYU, VCU is a good matchup. Alabama, same thing. Oregon could be a tough out. You got Arizona. Are we going to get which version of Arizona are we going to get? So, gosh, it's tough, but I'd probably slightly go Midwest. Then I would go East. South is right there, though, too, because Michigan State's one of those teams that I wouldn't feel comfortable picking them to go far, even though, because they're one of those teams that's just constantly burned me, I feel like, and the majority of my brackets over the years. Auburn with Bruce Pearl. Then you got, Michigan as a 5, but Texas A&M and Coach Buzz. Iowa State's got some injuries too. Man, I think this is a good bracket outside of the drama of North Carolina being in that. I think we've got some good matchups here, and I think, teams are going to earn it when they get to the Final Four because there's going to be some really good games. The potential of some really good matchups and some really good games is right there for the taking. And I can't wait for this thing to get going. I know it, quote unquote, starts tonight, but for me, it's really Thursday. Thursday is how I'm looking at it. All right, let's take a quick break. Give me your Grind My Gears. It is a Grind My Gears Tuesday. What's grinding your gears? How about we do a couple before we take the break? What's grinding my gears says Ben is North Carolina in over West Virginia. Talk about collusion with the AD being the committee chair bull that he left the room and wasn't a part of those conversations. Another part of Grind My Gears, what grinds my gears is the Packers not signing that edge rusher that went to the Eagles. That is from Steve. And then we've got Jim saying what's grinding my gears this morning is the Brewers and their injuries to Tobias and Terang. Can we please just get to the regular season and be healthy? Keep those coming. All right. Hit me up with a text. We're going to take a quick break. Then we're going to finish up the second hour. We're flying on by here on this Tuesday morning, man. Before we got some snow coming, for crying out loud. Gosh darn it. All right. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Thinking about new floors? Well, make your vision a reality at Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Whether it's soft or luxurious carpets, maybe some tiles or some vinyl planks, they've got the perfect style for every space. Their huge selection, their unbeatable prices, and their expert installation make upgrading your home easy. Not sure where to start? Well, that's no problem because their flooring specialists are there to help every step of the way. Their entire team will work with you from step one to the finish line, helping you find the perfect floor for your home and budget. And don't forget, if you happen to find a better deal elsewhere, Carpet City Flooring Center will match or beat the competition. Stop dreaming and start designing. Visit Carpet City Flooring Center today and step into something beautiful. We've got Badger Chat coming up next hour. We'll talk Badger hoops with their seeding with RJ Cardinal. We'll talk a little Badger football with spring ball, spring practice going on, a little hockey, a little Badger hockey too. So we will hit that up coming up at about 8:20 this morning. Surveyor Sam with a quick text here this morning saying defending champs are ready. 7:30 tea time is best, and we will prove it again by setting the bar for everyone to beat. Does that mean you signed up, Sam? And I didn't see your names on there earlier this morning, so I'll have to double check, see if you got your team in there. But head again to our website, sportstalk1051.com. The icon logo is right there for you to sign up your two-person team for the classic that's coming up on August 1st. New location this year at Lake Hallie Golf Course. Looking forward to that. So trying to keep it as a tradition too with that first Friday in August before high school football season begins with practice and that. So, but got a couple more texts here with a grind my gears Tuesday. Another texter, don't have a name, can't give you any credit, but texter says what grinds my gears is this Packers offseason. I fully expected them to go out and get a pass rusher, and the fact that they haven't, and now we're relying on the draft again, is incredibly frustrating to me. Another texter, this one is from Matthew. Matthew says, what grinds my gears this morning is the Milwaukee Brewers and their health. It looked like they were healthy for the most part heading into the regular season, but a couple big injuries with Tobias and Terang have me nervous for this team, at least at the beginning of this team, or at beginning of the season, excuse me. Another texter, don't have a name for this one either. What grinds my gears is excuse me, Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks, I think they're going to drop down to a 6 seed in the Eastern Conference because of this West Coast road trip that they're on. I don't, for whatever reason, understand why this team can't be at least a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference when you have one of the best players playing at an MVP level and Damian Lillard and nice supporting players. Another texter, speaking of the Bucks, says what grinds my gears is the national media not giving enough attention and love to the Greek Freak for MVP talk. All right, keep those coming. We'll get back to some of those coming up here throughout the program. One of the poll question, or kind of an informal poll question that I threw out there for everyone to kind of chime in on. I don't have it as a poll on Facebook or Twitter or anything like that, but which off season has maybe frustrated you the most? If you are a Packers and a Brewers fan, which off season has frustrated you the most? Has it been the Brewers because you don't have a power bat, or you thought that they were going to do a little bit more in the offseason to get a power bat to either replace Willie Adames or, a couple bats just in general to help out the offense? Or is it the Packers because you thought, okay, I thought for sure they were going to get an edge rusher or even a wide receiver or a wide receiver, veteran wide receiver? They made moves. They spent a lot of money, top 10 in free agency so far, or top 10 in the offseason this year. But I think I really thought that Goody was going to go out and get a pass rusher. Maybe they tried. I'd be curious. I'd love to be a fly on the wall and be a part of those conversations. We don't know how hard they tried. If they tried at all, was the price tag too much for the guys that they had targeted? I don't know, but it goes back to Aziz, former Giants pass rusher, who signed a 1-year, $4 million with the Eagles, it was reported yesterday. And it's like, we couldn't do that. Green Bay couldn't do that. Again, I don't know if Green Bay was involved in those conversations. I don't know if they were even a part of the conversation, if that was even a thought that crossed their mind. But we couldn't do something like 1 year 5 or something. I don't know. That one was to me like, okay, I get $40 million per year for whether it was a Myles Garrett or something like that. Okay, I get $30 million for DK. I understand that, but it's like a 1 year for a pass rush specialist for a few $1,000,000. That might not even have been a few $1,000,000 on your cap. It might have been, guaranteed, might have been a couple and such, and that would have included incentives to maybe get it up to a 4 or 5 or something. That one to me is like, we couldn't do something like that. We couldn't make a play on that one. I get it, maybe a little undersized for what you want to do, but I mean, he's produced, and I get it. Injuries the last 3 years, he's been banged up, but, and this is not a knock on him, I think if you're willing to sign Nate Hobbs, who has also been dealing with injuries throughout his career, that narrative kind of gets thrown out the window. That narrative kind of gets thrown out the window. And especially when you have your general manager go out there and say, well, a couple things. One, I think it's time we start competing for championships. And 2, we need to get home with 4. We need to get better production out of the pass rush. And you don't do anything in free agency to help that. Because it sure looks like now it's going to be in the draft. And I get it that the draft, from all the experts, people that know more than me, people that the draft experts say this is a very good draft for pass rushers. But here's the thing, and I like Goody, but here's the thing. It's like, I don't know if I can trust right now him drafting a pass rusher that's going to produce day one. And they're going to allow him to produce day one. I don't know if I'm going to, I trust that at this point in time. And that stinks. And that's frustrating. I mean, you're putting a ton of pressure, or you're betting your chips on, I should say, maybe this is the best way to say it. You're betting your chips on Van Ness to take that step in year 3. You're betting your chips on Rashawn Gary having a bounce back year. You're betting your chips on Kenny Clark to play a lot better than what he did. You're betting your chips on Devontae Wyatt to stay healthy. Yes, you've invested 4 first-round picks on your defensive line, and I totally understand. I totally get why you want to run it with those guys, because you've invested so much. You've invested your first-round picks on that, and 4 first-round picks on your defensive line should get the job done. But the fact of the matter is that it hasn't. It hasn't. And what's wrong with creating some depth, especially for, I'm not saying Aziz would have been a Hall of Famer, but I mean, if he's a situational pass rusher and a pass rush specialist for a few $1,000,000, you can't put him in part of that rotation. You can't put him in obvious passing situations. You can't put him in on third downs. You can't find a role for him. Yeah, you can. Philadelphia does. That was the head scratcher for me. And I'm not saying like he was my number 1 target, numero uno, bang the table, go get that guy. And I was surprised it was only for a few $1,000,000. I thought some team, considering what the contracts were being thrown out there, I thought it was going to be, dude, somebody was going to get him for $10 million a year or something like that. They were willing to do that. But for that, I was like, oh. That one was like, okay. I would have bet a lot that Goody would have gone out there and got a pass rusher. And I get the numbers went up. But we talked about that when the salary cap figures were released. Everybody, I think a lot of people just focus like, oh, that's more money for teams to spend. Yeah, but the other part is agents aren't stupid. They're not dumb. Hey, that team's got more money to spend. Guess what? Price tags go up too. You got more money to spend? That means my client, my guy, it's going to cost more. So it's not just that the team's got an increase in salary cap funds where they can go get more guys or such. Price tags went up. So, agents aren't stupid. They're not dumb. They make a lot of money. Their price tag goes up. Agents get more cash. So when you have a potential bargain possible deal, or you're not willing to take a flyer on a 1-year deal for a few $1 million for a guy that could potentially improve your pass rush, it's frustrating. It is frustrating. And I would have bet, and I thought for sure Green Bay was going to get a pass rusher or defensive lineman in this office. If there was a position, I thought it was going to be that. Thought, okay, maybe a veteran wide receiver. The thing is, they still could, so I'm not ready to go down that one yet. They still could, because there's guys out there, but I would have thought for sure that one of them would have been a pass rusher or an edge rusher. And right now we're rolling it back. We're running it back with what we got. I would say that I'm fairly confident pass rusher is going to be high on the priority list when it comes to draft, but I thought it was going to be high on the priority list when it came to free agency, and I was wrong there too. So who knows? I have no idea what Goody is thinking. Like, I don't know. And I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Dude is 500 times smarter than I am, and he's 500 times smarter than a lot of us. And we're never going to know what's the mindset here. And I get it. And I fully believe that this is part of the plan is you look at 2026 in that situation. And I mean, that's Packer philosophy. They want to try to be competitive for years to come and not just a short window. Once in a while they'll do it. And then they got in trouble with the Rodgers contract. And I fully believe that's part of the thinking here with 2026. And I understand that. And I get that. And I respect it. I really do, because one thing I don't want to have is we get to next offseason and we're like, yeah, we got no money and no players. I don't want to be in that situation. So I fully respect it. But when you potentially get bargains or offers or cheaper deals, that's the frustrating part. All right, coming up next hour, we'll talk some Badgers with Mr. Cardinal, RJ Cardinal. So we'll talk a little Badgers with him. Basketball, we'll hit that up. Talk about the Badgers getting a 3 seed. Talk a little hockey with him, Badger hockey, plus some Badger football. We had some spring practice. Anything kind of stand out from spring practice with this Badger football team that I think it's going to be I know I said it a couple weeks ago. I'm definitely curious to see how the mindset of fans are going to be heading into this upcoming season, year 3 of Luke Fickell, coming off of a down season, a really bad season, but a really tough schedule coming up here. I mean, what is that expectation going to be like for Badger fans when we get to that point? So we'll hit that up later on in the season and that. But our first talk for some college football for this year. So we'll talk to RJ about that coming up in about 20 minutes or so. We'll get to more of your Grind My Gears. Hit those up. Text those on over 715-830-1912. 2 in already. Flying on by this morning, baby. We got some news updates, and We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Final hour kicking off on this Tuesday morning. Thanks for tuning in wherever, however you're tuning in from. Coming up in about 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes or so, we'll talk with RJ Cardinal Badger hoops, Badger football, Badger hockey, all on the docket. So we'll catch up with RJ here in just a little bit. Still taking your texts and comments. You can hit us up on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912 on the video streams on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, or hit us up on the socials on X, Facebook, and all that good stuff here. It is a Grind My Gears Tuesday, so I know I already had one Grind My Gears Tuesday. I got another one, though, and since we're going to be talking a little Badgers here, it's not going to be what I was grinding my gears about yesterday. It was about, it kind of relates to it a little bit here, but, the whole playing on a short rest Thursday game and going to Denver and that. Thursday one is what grinds my gears in that. So, especially the early Thursday game. This was from John Rothstein yesterday. He was on Pardon My Take podcast. Talked a little bit about Wisconsin and Iowa State. Now, remember, Iowa State's a 3 seed, and they're playing in Milwaukee. Take a listen to this audio courtesy Pardon My Take.
TJ Otzelberger announced after the bracket came out that Keyshawn Gilbert is out for Iowa State. Was that was just a smart move by him? Because do you think Iowa State would have had a different seed if that had been known to the committee going into selection, Sunday?
Right. It's very possible that we could have flip-flopped Iowa State and Wisconsin if that information was made privy to the committee before the selection went out. I remember it was 25 years ago now. Cincinnati had the best team in the country with Kenyon Martin in 2000. And Kenyon Martin broke his leg in the Conference USA tournament that year. And Cincinnati, which had been dominant all year long, number one team consensus in the country, was dropped to the 2 line. And it was ridiculous. And Bob Huggins said it at the time, but they were evaluating Cincinnati without Kenyon Martin, who wound up being the number 1 player in the NBA draft. So I totally agree with you on that, Cat.
All right, there you go. So, smart, I guess, on Iowa State's point that they would have, they waited till afterwards, but it still grinds my gears. Still grinds my gears to think about that one injury could have flip-flopped Wisconsin. Maybe Wisconsin would be playing in Milwaukee this week. And then maybe they'd have the extra day of rest and such. So that grinds my gears. And that's another reason, too, why with that injury, I don't know if I can pick Iowa State to go far. I can't. I don't think I can. If you haven't gotten your picks in yet, get to our website, sign up for our bracket challenge. Even if you're not the biggest basketball fan out there, or if you don't feel like you follow it enough, go have fun with it. For crying out loud, Hudson has finished in the top 5 the last couple of years. He's beaten me the last couple of years, okay? My 7-year-old, all right? So head to our website, sign up for the bracket challenge right now before we get some playing games coming at you tonight. Surveyor Sam DK, I'm appreciating the Surveyor Sam text coming in here too, man. It's good to hear from you again. DK, you know what grinds my gears? The selection committee, and it's not just North Carolina. It's the fact that the committee puts Power 4 conference teams above all other teams. Let's just take any team from some small conference that will go 26-5 through the season, take first in a regular season, and then lose to a team in the championship game. They did all that work for only one game to matter. Why don't they get the nod over a team that's 20-12 in Power Conference? It drives me nuts. Puts some of these power schools in. That, to me, then asks the question, I'll ask this surveyor, where are you on the side of should the automatic bid come from regular season championships or conference tournament wins? Should it come from the regular season? Because that's gone back and forth between people. That's a debate. Should automatic bids, and maybe it's to non-power, maybe you can alter to non-Power 4 conferences, but should automatic bids go to teams that win their regular season titles and maybe not necessarily the conference tournament titles? What are your thoughts on that? And I'll throw it to everybody else too. What are your thoughts on that? Should it change? Should it go to that? Because I feel like that gets brought up every year at this point in time. A few more texts too, because kind of an informal poll question we threw out there in the first hour was, which offseason has frustrated you the most so far? Has it been the Brewers offseason? Has it been the Packers offseason? Maybe a little bit of a slight lead to the Packers offseason. A little bit of a slight lead. A couple more texts here. We've got Mark says, I'm going with the Packers because like you said, I would have thought for sure that the Packers would have at least brought in a defensive lineman or a wide receiver, at least one of those two. Another texter, Tim, says, I'm going to go with the Packers because we all knew what one of their biggest weaknesses was, specifically on the defensive side, and they have done nothing to address it. Another texter says, I'm going to go with the Brewers because I feel like Mark Atanasio has more cash than what he is willing to spend. Surveyor says it should be regular season champs. The season should matter. C-Bomb says Goot is grinding my gears so far. This new NFL season, or is it supposed to just say so far this NFL season, just sitting around not addressing a huge weakness? Aziz, 8 sacks as a rookie, 5.5 in 7 games his sophomore year, 6 sacks in 11 games last year. With a terrible Giants team, signed a 1-year deal with Philly. We talked about that all morning there, C-Bomb, but yeah, absolute steal for a player with huge upside. He is a Goot type. Yeah, we talked, but that was my grind my gears in the first hour for this morning. So a couple more texts here before we get to RJ here in a few minutes. Chris says, I think it's the Brewers that has been frustrating me the most this offseason because I really thought that they were going to try to address their offense with no Willie Adames and bring in a veteran to play the hot corner, and they haven't done that. Another texter says, I'm going to go with the Packers because I thought they were going to get another pass rusher based off of what the general manager and coaching staff said all offseason. So I think it's probably I should have made this a Twitter or Facebook poll. It's probably a little bit favored towards the Packers side that's frustrated you the most so far. But keep those coming. 715-830-1912. Tim in the Cooley region says Packers worst off season. Goody said it was time to compete for championships and no big moves to compete. All right, tell you what. Let's talk to RJ Cardinal. We'll take a little bit of an earlier break. We'll bring in RJ here. We'll talk Badgers with him. Plenty of Badger hoops. We got some hockey, and then I do want to talk a little spring ball with him too. So we'll get to RJ Cardinal here, but keep your picks coming, okay? Which offseason has been the most frustrating for you on this Grind My Gears Tuesday? And what else is grinding your gears? If you haven't chimed in, let me know. I want to hear from you. Quick break, and we'll get RJ coming up after these quick words.
The Dan Kasper Show will be right back.
Country RV wants to thank you, their happy campers, for voting them the #1 dealer in the Chippewa Valley again. Join Country RV in celebrating their win. To show their appreciation the whole month of March, they're giving exclusive discounts and incentives on all campers. Buy new, used, or custom order your perfect camper and save money. Now is the perfect time to shop for your RV. But wait, the savings don't end there. Country RV is known for their fully stocked parts and accessory store. They even sell used parts. Shop all month long and take advantage of big discounts. Did you know that Country RV's service department is key to making and keeping their happy campers? Their knowledge, experience, competitive pricing, along with taking pride in every job, sets them apart. Country RV is here for your every camping need. Located in Chippewa Falls on County Highway B in Tilden. Easy to find them in person or online at countryrvwi.com. Let Country RV show you why they have proven they are the original home of the happy camper.
Grant here for Kai's Chevy Town, a short drive from anywhere. They're less than a minute off of exit 41, Interstate 94 on the north side of Menominee. They put me in my Malibu last September. I absolutely love it, and I was floored with their staff and with their management. I did not feel like just another customer who had come into the dealership. And no one should feel that way at a car dealership because it's a big investment. Your needs in a vehicle are different than everyone else's, and your financial situation is different than everyone else's too. And they're attentive to that. I can't say enough good things about the folks at Kai's, and they're looking to add to their team, sales consultants and service technicians. Go to ChevyTownUSA.com/employment. I'm looking at the application right now. 401k with company match, health and dental, paid time off, the works. This is why their employee retention is so high, and this is why the customers keep coming back. They keep seeing the same familiar faces that treat them so well, so the employees don't want to leave and the customers want to keep coming. It's this perfect cycle that makes Kai's the perfect place to both work and shop. Their inventory updated daily and an application if you're interested in employment. Just go to ChevyTownUSA.com. Be wise. See Kai's for the best buys.
Noble Gold Investments alert. Gold has surged 46% in less than a year, doubling the gains of the NASDAQ and S&P 500. But this isn't just another rally. Investors are losing confidence in paper gold and demanding physical metal, creating a massive gap between gold owed and gold available. But this isn't about how institutions broke another system. It's about how you can profit from it. Right now, Noble Gold Investments has a limited supply of investment-grade gold bars and coins available. As banks scramble to fulfill their obligations, pushing gold prices higher, you can profit. Smart investors are already moving into physical gold. Noble Gold Investments makes it easy for you to do the same. And right now, when you make a qualified investment, Noble Gold will add a free 10th ounce gold coin to your order. Don't wait until it's too late. Visit NobleGoldInvestments.com now and turn their panic into your profit. NobleGoldInvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Save big money now at Menards. Transform your space with Window Images light filtering cordless cellular shades. Its energy-efficient design traps air, making your rooms cooler in the summer and warmer in the winter. The soft fabric filters light for the perfect combination of function and fashion. And they can be trimmed to it for free in-store. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Hey, this is Lisa Stofan. Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking with hypnosis. Hypnosis eliminated my desire for soda and fast food, made me want to exercise, and I lost 60 pounds in 6 months. My energy level exploded. I went to another session to deal with some other problem foods, and I lost another 10 pounds. In fact, I brought my husband. He lost weight. More important, cholesterol and blood pressure improved. My friend went and she lost 20 pounds in the first 2 months. So does Mark Patrick hypnosis work? Oh yeah, it works. Nothing has changed my life more. Well, except maybe my husband. He's so proud of me. Makes me cry.
Oh, wow. What are you waiting for? Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking, guaranteed. Early bird special, only $49.99. That's right. Weight loss seminar Thursday, March 27th at the Best Western Plus Eau Claire Conference Center in Eau Claire at 5:30 p.m. Registration 5 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. Registration 7:30 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
Noble Gold Investments alert. Gold has surged 46% in less than a year, doubling the gains of the NASDAQ and S&P 500. But this isn't just another rally. Investors are losing confidence in paper gold and demanding physical metal, creating a massive gap between gold owed and gold available. But this isn't about how institutions broke another system. It's about how you can profit from it. Right now, Noble Gold Investments has a limited supply of investment-grade gold bars and coins available. As banks scramble to fulfill their obligations, pushing gold prices higher, you can profit. Smart investors are already moving into physical gold. Noble Gold Investments makes it easy for you to do the same. And right now, when you make a qualified investment, Noble Gold will add a free 10th ounce gold coin to your order. Don't wait until it's too late. Visit NobleGoldInvestments.com now and turn their panic into your profit. NobleGoldInvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Broadcasting live from the TDS Sports Talk 105.1 studios, it's the Dan Kasper Show.
Craving some top quality meats? Then you better head on over to Mike's Star Market. From juicy steaks to mouth-watering brats, they've got you covered for whatever you are craving. Whether it's a family dinner or a tailgate feast, They've got the best selection in town. Friendly service, unbeatable flavor. Mike's Star Market is your one-stop shop for everything meat. Swing by today at 2238 Heimstead Road in Eau Claire and taste the difference. Also want to give a shout out to one of our fine friends, AJM Automotive, located on Brackett Avenue, one of our partners for our draft coverage when we're going to be over there in Green Bay doing some shows and such. Can't do it without our good friends from AJM Automotive. Again, located on Brackett Avenue in Eau Claire. Full-scale auto repair shop. Got towing services, even small engines. So I know we're getting some snow coming up here, but if you're thinking about lawn mowing and such, get your lawnmowers in there for some service and getting it ready for the mowing season. We've taken our snow blower over there. John and his staff are fantastic people to work with. So give them a check out, 1919 Brackett Avenue, or give them a call, 715-835-9523. Continuing to talk some Badgers this morning, we'll bring in our Badger expert, Mr. RJ Cardinal, joining us this morning. How you doing, RJ? Happy Tuesday.
Oh, doing pretty good. Can't really complain. You had the Badgers finish second in the Big Ten tournament. Whether that is the reason they didn't get to Milwaukee or not, up for debate. Could be more or less the fact that they lost to Penn State. But one way or another, here we are, and we're getting ready for the NCAA tournament to start.
Which one, because it is a Grind My Gears Tuesday that we do every Tuesday. So let me ask you this. What grinds your gears the most? Is it the fact that they're not playing in Milwaukee, or is it the fact that they're playing on short rest? Playing Thursday, one of the first games on Thursday, and they got to go to Denver to do that.
That is a great question. It might be the fact they got to go play on a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
But in part, that's part of the conference's problem in a whole. And you're going to have to move off a Sunday for that to happen. And I guess, if you want more eyes on your conference tournament, you're going to be right in front of the tournament selection show, and that's the Big Ten's choice. So one way or another, you have to either talk to your conference or make sure your conference talks to whoever and says whoever's in our championship game can't be in on the first day of the tournament.
Yeah. I was looking at that, and I know that's kind of what Greg Gard mentioned too, and I think that one kind of maybe grinds my gears a little bit more too, especially, four straight games in the Big Ten Conference Tournament, and then, hey, hop on a plane and go to Denver, where Montana just got to go down a little bit further south and such to get for that game.
The fact that both Kentucky and Iowa State got into Milwaukee before Wisconsin did kind of is a laughable thing. But I guess when the committee thought so much of the SEC tournament, the SEC to put 14 of the 16 schools in, honestly, I don't understand that at all. There's no way a conference is that deep to have almost every team be in there and have them all advance out of the first weekend or even their first game. So it'll be interesting to watch the SEC to see how that actually plays out, to see if the conference is actually that good or if it was kind of artificially propped up by ESPN, who is very much in bed with the SEC right now, to the point where they are cutting a lot of contracts with pro sports when they run out, so they can try to make an offer to the SEC like the Big Ten got from 3 separate networks. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but it's more so ESPN really getting into bed with one conference to prop them up over a lot of things. Watching Sports Center on Saturday morning, it took them 45 minutes to talk about the Big Ten semifinals, where they led with the SEC and kind of went back to it a couple of times before they even talked about the Big Ten. So just a outside perspective of watching ESPN, but hey, what are you gonna do about it?
Right. So looking at the Badgers and how they're set up in their region, Montana, the first game, but then I look at that round of 32. If Wisconsin wins, either VCU or BYU, RJ, that either one of those teams kind of make me a little bit nervous, RJ.
I think BYU more so than VCU, because even watching that, VCU's got pretty good defense. But it's watching that game leading into the Big Ten championship game.
Yep.
It kind of made me a little more optimistic if you end up playing them, whereas BYU, who averages right around the same stats, both offensively and defensively in scoring that Wisconsin does. They are able to shoot at a high percentage. They're a lot like Wisconsin on paper in every stat category there is outside free throws. So that stat kind of worries me a little more. Whereas you go down and with VCU, a lot of it's like it has been since Shaka Smart was there, is their success is predicated on their defense, because shot percentage, scoring, and all that isn't the greatest out there. So their defense creates their offense, and even then, sometimes that offense isn't always a high-powered offense, but it's an efficient offense for what their defensive side of things really does to help them out.
When going back to that Big Ten championship game here really quick, I mean, Wisconsin did have a lot of opportunities in that game, whether it was, just getting a rebound at the end so we didn't have to see all the different replays to see if it actually went off Wisconsin or making a shot here there. Do you chalk that up more so that was a team that just looked really tired and their legs weren't underneath them at that point?
When you have some of those shots you saw, and they were open shots. I mean, they created the open shots they were getting throughout the tournament, and a couple of them were just off by a little. There's some guys who you haven't seen air ball all year, and all of a sudden those balls are like a ball length short of the hoop, and it's just like, man, 4 games in 4 days is tough. So it did look like that, but at least defensively they were playing well enough to keep the game within reason. And I'll never understand why you go up 11 and just start hawking up threes again.
Yeah.
You got up 11 by driving to the hoop. Michigan was gladly giving it to the Badgers, to the point where, I mean, there were a couple of series where you threw up 3-pointers and Michigan had nobody in the paint protecting the rim, and nobody took advantage of it. And then when they went on their run and got up 11, that's all they did, whether it was getting to the line and making free throws or making baskets. It just didn't make sense to, when you got up 11, that you stopped playing the ball that got you up 11. And it kind of was like that to start the game too, where Wisconsin just wasn't making threes and just kept throwing threes up there. Then and you have Greg Gard at halftime being like, hey, we got to start hitting the paint and getting to the foul line. And then it kind of started, and then it went away again. So it's just, I know it's a new style offense, but that's also supposed to open things up. So if somebody's guarding the 3-point line, you sure as heck better be getting in there to open it up. But I mean, there were times where that just wasn't happening.
So RJ, we know John Tanji, John Blackwell are going to be counted upon for this tournament run, but who do you think would be like another guy, the third option, or kind of an under the radar guy, or a very pivotal player that has to kind of really step up in this tournament for the team to get to the Sweet 16 after this weekend?
I'm going to go ahead and say it's Steven Crowell and Nolan Winter. Like, both of those guys have to show up, especially in this first game. The next tallest person on the Montana. If we're not taking advantage of the paint, it could be a very ugly game or a very laughable loss. And so honestly, like, get in there, get them in foul trouble, get to the line. I don't care. Like, those two have to have a tournament for this team to make a deep run. And so it's not just one person. Those two have to show up for Wisconsin to have a chance to make it to the second weekend and even pull some upsets if they do. Because, I mean, more likely than not, if you do, you're facing Alabama. If you beat them, more likely than not, you're facing Duke. It's a bracket that they didn't give the Badgers any favors by putting them where they did.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to ask you to make your picks for this weekend coming up before I let you go here, RJ. But I do want to hit up on a couple other items. First off, women's hockey back to the Frozen Four. They're going to be going up against Minnesota on Friday. That's a nice matchup to begin the Frozen Four, right? Going up against the Gophers and such.
Yeah,
but
Gophers on their home ice, so
yeah,
you get to keep that going. Yeah, it'll be a fun one.
But they've had the Gophers number this year, though, too, right? I mean, they won every game. I mean, they won almost every game besides one and a couple ties and such. But I mean, I know, like we talk about it in football a lot. Hey, we get nervous when we play that team the third time when it gets to the postseason, if it's a division team and such. But when it comes to this matchup, where are you at on a confidence scale? Because for the longest time, for all season, we've been saying it's kind of Wisconsin versus the field. Well, now you got Minnesota on their ice. Where's your confidence with this one?
Yeah, you blooded them at home late in the season, early in the season in October. You beat them 5-0 and 4-3. It's one of those. Then you beat them in Duluth for the championship, a couple weeks ago. That's another 4-3 game. So who knows on the home ice for the Gophers what we're going to be seeing here, but it's definitely one. You have those games where it's like it's hard to beat a team 3 times. Well, it's hard to beat a team 6 times. So hopefully 6 is not the charm for the Gophers, and you can keep up like what we've been seeing from the Badgers all year so far, minus the one loss they have that at Wrigley that shouldn't have been with a disallowed goal for no apparent reason. But I expect more of the same. A gritty game, hopefully, with Wisconsin still pulling it out by, hey, all you need is one more goal than the other team. So hopefully we're looking at Wisconsin playing in the national championship game.
Have you heard anything? I saw something on social media for the last couple months, and I'm wondering if you have any insight, being his best little league player back in the day, about Mark Johnson. If they win it all, could you see him hanging it up and calling it a career?
Ooh, that is a great question. I guess I really haven't heard anything about that, and I haven't really seen anything about that. So, I mean, can't blame him if he does. I mean, that'll make it 7 national championships.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, he's accomplished as much as any coach in the sport. So, if he would, good luck to the next coach.
Yeah, right.
Following in the shadows of a legend is going to be a tough job. But absolutely could see it. But I guess I really haven't been paying close enough attention to have read that anywhere or seen any reports of it being a possibility.
Yeah, and that could just, be social media fodder, out there that we see. But it was a really good piece, too. I don't know if it was a few days ago on The Athletic. They did a kind of a deep dive on Mark Johnson and just kind of throughout his career. Some good quotes in there, too. Did he ever
I didn't get interviewed for that one.
What's that?
I didn't get interviewed for that one.
You didn't get interviewed? I was going to ask. So, because one of the quotes, it begins 3 hours before the Badgers were set to practice on Tuesday in late January. The best coach in the history of women's college basketball was telling a story about a deer. I'd like to get in the mindset of a deer He talked for several minutes trying to emphasize with the deer that had jumped in front of his car and then ran off while Johnson was driving home from the rink a few days prior. So I don't know if he ever talked about that with you back in baseball, in your baseball days, get the mindset of a deer or something like that.
I don't recall that one.
But man, yeah, you're right. Whenever he does call it a career, we talk about replacing legends. Good luck with doing that.
That's a tough one. Like, if you're talking about replacing any coach in Wisconsin history, it's him and his dad, really.
Yeah.
Those are probably the top two you don't want to be the next guy for. But at least in men's hockey, the next guy being Jeff Sauer, he didn't do too shabby himself. So it's definitely one of those guys that you don't really want to be the person to replace that person. But somebody's got to be. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out if they do indeed win it this year.
Yeah, he says, it says here, there will be a time when he won't be at the rink to run a practice or stand behind the bench. He doesn't know exactly when he'll retire, but he has been considering what the next chapter of his life may look like. And apparently him and his wife are planning to open a therapeutic horse ranch in Verona.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So, hey, football wise, we had some spring ball, spring practice last week and such. RJ, did you hear anything that kind of stood out or impressions from anybody that you talked to about what spring practice was like?
Heard some stuff from Zach Heilprin here, our sports director at the Zone, as well as writer for The Athletic, Jesse Temple, that apparently the quarterbacks are looking good, every new one of them. So I guess that's a good thing, whether you're talking about whoever they're going against. But nothing too much. I think most of the focus was on the quarterbacks from things I've heard so far. But it looks like there are capable quarterbacks in the room, which is a good thing. And it'll just be interesting to see how that all plays out. I mean, once again, you're not going to be a grad transfer and go somewhere where you're not at least told you're going to be the starter right away. So it'll really be an interesting spring to see how that all plays out. Carter Smith apparently is as good as advertised, with a cannon for an arm, with the ability to move around in the pocket. So it'll be interesting to see how we see this offense develop throughout spring ball and where we at least think we're going to be whenever they have the spring game or whatever they're going to call it this year for the public to go see.
Yeah, I'm really curious when we get to, the start of the season and such to kind of gauge where fans' mindsets are going to be with this upcoming season with so many question marks and just a brutal schedule on top of it too. It's going to be kind of interesting to hear from fans with that. So
yeah, and I mean, just judging from local fan talk on articles and things like that in the comment section around here, it's not going to be positive.
Yeah.
no matter what happens. But as the season approaches, as things flush out here and we see what exactly we're probably dealing with here in spring ball and then going on into fall camp, it'll be interesting to see how, like you said, if things change from the we're all going to die to the sky and the sky is falling, to see if there's any glimmer of hope when we're looking at this schedule and seeing what we have on hand.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, RJ, make some picks. I won't ask you to make your whole bracket pick unless you already got it done, but do you think Wisconsin can win 2 games and advance to the Sweet 16 this weekend?
Judging by what I saw this week, I know they have at least 3 games in a row with them, but I don't think they have to worry about playing 3 games in a row in the NCAA tournament. You get a day break in there. I do think they have the ability to beat both Montana and whoever they face in the next round to be able to get into the second day. But I think one way or another they do beat Montana. But if it does end up being BYU, that's probably going to be a really tough test for them. But I still think they have the ability to pull out a victory there. More so, like I said, when we're talking about free throws and getting to the line and being a better free throw percentage team than BYU. I think, you can use that as a stat that can help you get a win against them. But it's also one of those, we have to see a game where you actually put yourself in a position to get fouled.
Yeah. Hey, did you fill out your bracket yet? Do you have an idea who your Final Four is going to be?
I actually haven't yet.
All right. I won't put you on the spot then. I promise I won't.
Yeah, I mean, even with like the number ones, like they put out there and they're like, these are the clear cut number ones. I really don't know if some of those teams have the ability to make it all the way to the Final Four. So it's actually going to be one of those ones where you could have some 2s or 3s make it out of a certain region, and it'll just be interesting to see how that plays out and how I fill out my bracket.
Yeah. There's some intriguing matchups though in that first round, at least name recognition. I mean, Kansas and Arkansas, and then the winner, whether it's Calipari or Bill Self, might have to go up against Rick Pitino in the round of 32. So,
right.
I mean,
it's just kind of, and we don't try to do it, but okay,
yeah, bull.
You do.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever you want to tell yourself, you do absolutely try to do it. And it'll just be interesting to see how that plays out. Because I mean, even with like Texas in there, and I know they're in the same conference now, but I mean, if Texas and Tennessee end up winning 2 games, you're going to have Rick Barnes going up against Texas in the round of 32. So yeah, I mean, they can say it's not a point of emphasis or anything like that, but it absolutely is. They make these on purpose, and I mean, there's no real storylines, I guess, with Wisconsin in theirs unless they end up playing Arizona or Oregon in the regional final. But I mean, that's not anywhere near a guarantee. So yeah, it'll definitely a lot of storylines that are never ever considered when we're looking at this. I mean, you had a lot of Wisconsin people thinking they were going to set up Wisconsin to play Louisville and somewhere along the line. So
the Chucky Hepburn game. Oh yeah.
Yep.
So
or maybe Kansas. See AJ Storr and Hunter Dickinson again.
Oh yeah, AJ Storr sitting on the bench, right? Yeah.
They're both on the other side of the bracket, so the only way that can happen is in a national championship game.
Oh man. Hey, he's RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst. Good stuff as always, buddy. Hopefully next week when we're talking to you, we're talking about championship for hockey and maybe a Sweet 16 appearance for this basketball team, bud.
That would be the most ideal. I did see over the last 24 hours, Fairfield's women's basketball coach declined an interview with Wisconsin. So that search firm the athletic department is using has already failed. And you have Tamara Moore, who is asking to at least interview for the job, former Wisconsin Badger, who's now I don't know if it's the lead scout for the Dallas Mavericks, but she's a scout for the Dallas Mavericks and has had success coaching in high school and lower level colleges, who at least want to be at least interviewed for the job. But we'll see what the athletic department does, and the way it's been going with coaching hires lately, probably not going to do the right thing. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But strike one for the search firm already on the women's basketball coaching search.
What does that say though, that the head coach from Fairfield turned down Wisconsin? Does that
not even the job, an interview?
Yeah.
Like, didn't even want to sit down and say, no, I'm good. Just said, no, I don't even want to interview with you.
Wow. Wow.
But yeah, I do the state of the program. I think you absolutely need to bring somebody with Wisconsin ties in, whether you like it or not. I know in your speech you said, hey, just because somebody has Wisconsin ties doesn't mean they're going to be a head coach here. There's certain programs that needs to happen with. And when you have a program like the way that Wisconsin women's basketball is in right now, I absolutely think you need to take a long shot on somebody who has ties to whether it's the state of Wisconsin or directly the Wisconsin Badgers. But that's just me. And it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Like we were talking even last week. I don't care who is on a top 5 list of college coaches nationwide. I really feel this program is in a way that needs a Wisconsin way. And even though there isn't really such a thing in women's basketball, it needs to be a name that can talk this state into putting itself back into the Badgers program. And if you don't have that, if you need to teach somebody about the Wisconsin way of doing things, I think you're just going to put yourself right up for failure, and we'll be talking about this in another 3 years.
Yeah, man. Good stuff, RJ. Appreciate the time as always, buddy. Enjoy the week, enjoy the games, and hey, we'll catch up with you again next week. Okay, sir?
Sounds good. We will talk to you then.
You got it. RJ Cardinal joining us here this morning. We got to take a quick break, and we've got some picks and predicts to wrap up this Tuesday program. Stick around. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Extra turkey tails going on sale this week. Zone 2 is going to be going on sale in a little over an hour from now. So turkey season beginning next month. If you're not ready, you need that new turkey shotgun, you better go visit our good friends at Tilden Gun. You can hit up their website, tildengun.com, or check them out. Go to their sweet shop. If you haven't been to their sweet shop before, I mean, I don't know who decorated over there, if it was Sean or Hunter or such, but I mean, they did a fantastic job. 12427 90th Avenue in Chippewa Falls. Again, that address, 12427 90th Avenue in Chippewa Falls. Go stop by. They'll help you find just what you're looking for to help you prepare for turkey season. Man, I'm hoping I get another turkey. It's been a few years since I got mine, so I want to get out there and get another gobbler and get another turkey and such. So, but yeah, don't forget those extra tags go on sale. Zone 2 today, Zone 1 was yesterday, and so on, Zone 3, Zone 4, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, all right, let's do some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room located in Eau Claire, right next to the Banbury Place in Eau Claire. We'll do a couple college basketball games here since we got some play-in games on the docket. Yeah, let's North Carolina, San Diego State. I'm gonna go North Carolina. I feel like they're gonna get the win with all the talk, whether they should be in there or not. They're gonna get the win. So and then I'll go Alabama State taking down St. Francis, the Red Flash of St. Francis tonight. Let's do some NBA games. What do we got on the dock? We got the Bucks for sure tonight. Just a few. Atlanta at Charlotte. I'll go at Boston. Yeah, give me Boston. Cleveland at the Clippers. I'm going to ride with the Cavs. Milwaukee at Golden State. Milwaukee's favored by 3.5. But I think the lines are going with if Steph Curry does not play tonight. Steph Curry does not play tonight, Bucks win. If Steph Curry plays tonight, Warriors win. I'm copping out, but that's how I've got my picks going for that one. Those are your picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room. Don't forget, again, final reminder this morning, because time is running out. Time is running out. Get to our website, click on the fan cave, scroll to the bottom, sign up for the bracket challenge. I don't care if you're not the biggest college basketball fan or not, or if you don't think you know a whole lot about it. Again, my kid has beaten me the last 2 years, and he's finished top 5 in these things the last 2 years on our website, okay? If he can do it, I know you can too. It's free. It's fun. Get in on it, okay? Get in on it. If you don't want to go to our website, I don't want to try to find it. Go to our Facebook page, the Sports Talk one. It's right there too. Link is up. All right? Get your brackets in. Get your brackets in. And then don't forget Friday, we're going to be over at VFW Post 305 on Star Avenue, starting up around 11 a.m. Okay. And we're going to watch some basketball. We're going to give away some Brewers tickets. I just saw we got a pair of tickets to the Jeff Foxworthy show at Sonatag we're going to be giving away. Those were sitting on my desk this morning. So we'll have those and a bunch of other prizes to be given away as well. But stop by, starting around 11. I think I'm going to be doing a little bartending myself for about an hour, a couple hours and such. So should be a lot of fun. Free Man Cave Light until it's gone. Everybody gets a free pint of Man Cave Light until it's gone. So got no reason. You got a free beverage right away. And you get to watch hoops, and you potentially get to win some Brewers tickets and some Jeff Foxworthy tickets. Heck yeah, that's a good little Friday. That's a nice little Friday. So, all right, big thanks to everybody who chimed in, texted in. I will say, going back to the first hour, was it the first hour when we threw this out there? I think so. Kind of our informal poll question. Who do you think has had the most frustrating offseason so far? Brewers or Packers? Slight lead goes to the Packers. That's where a lot of you have your picks. I shouldn't say majority. Slight majority going to the Packers as having the most frustrating offseason so far. So big thanks to everybody who texted in their vote for that. We talked a little bit about that. We talked about the Brewers. Tobias Myers is going to be out, hopefully back by the end of April, dealing with a how how do I want to say, oblique issue. I was just blanked again. Left oblique issue. So we'll see how that, hopefully by the end of April. But I could see the Brewers being extra cautious since it's happening before the season starts and not trying to push it, even though now they got to figure out where that spot in that rotation is going to be. Could be Logan Henderson. Maybe they stretch out Alexander a little bit for some spot starts. We'll see how that all plays out. So, but yeah, next Thursday, opening day. Season kind of got started. It did get started off with the Tokyo series. Dodgers taking down the Cubs earlier this morning, 4-1. Bucks begin their road trip going up against the Warriors tonight. West Coast road trip. Again, Steve Kerr threw out the possibility of resting Steph Curry tonight. We'll see if that's the case. But if he is resting, Bucks, please take advantage of it and get the W tonight without Steph Curry. Get that W. 5 games on the road. Warriors, Lakers, Kings, Suns, Nuggets. The Bucks can get 3, go 3-2. You take that, and I think that's a win. You got to get wins against the Suns, and I would say the Kings. And if you can get one between Warriors, Lakers, and Nuggets, take 3. I'll take it. If you could go 4-1, I'd be ecstatic. I'd be ecstatic about that. But the final 15 games of the regular season tips off tonight. We'll see how that's, no Steph, get the win. Start off on a hot note. Get some mojo going. Do well on this West Coast trip. You're in a fight with the Pacers right now. I know you hold the season series against them, but you're tied right now for that 4th seed. Pacers picking up that win against the Wolves last night. Can't go on the road in the playoffs. You got to have that first round. Got to have it. Get it done tonight. If Steph Curry's not out there, we'll get it done regardless. So, coming up tomorrow, we'll do some stock reports. Want you all to play along, okay? Whose stock is rising and whose stock is falling. You can send those on over to us by hitting us up with texts or commenting on the video stream or hitting us up on the social medias and such. We'll talk some more college hoops as we will have the second round of the play-in games and such, and closer to tip-off on Thursday. Hopefully we're talking about a Bucks win against the Warriors. Maybe we'll have some more updates surrounding some Brewer stuff, especially Bryce Terang. That one concerns me too. Between Tobias and Bryce Terang, I know they're kind of downplaying the Terang one with his arm fatigue, but it might alter the infield now that Ortiz might actually be the shortstop now, because it looked like it was trending it was going to be Terang, but now he's got some arm fatigue. They're saying there shouldn't be anything with opening day. No concerns with that, but still worries me a little bit. So hopefully these few days of just sitting down and resting will do him some good. But man, as we wrap up this spring training, Ortiz has been hitting well. Jackson Chirio has been lights out at the plate. We know Vinny Capra and Oliver Dunn have been hitting well. Hopefully this can all transition into the regular season. Reese Hoskins has been displaying the power. Not trying to get my hopes up too much based off spring training results. But man, if those guys can carry this into the regular season, maybe that's our offense right there. But all right, but we'll talk some more Brewers as we inch closer and closer to opening day coming up tomorrow too. But get those stock reports in. All right, get those stock reports in. And who knows, maybe Green Bay will have a free agent signing. Yeah, right? Doubt it. I doubt it. So, or maybe we'll have a Jair Alexander news update. I doubt that too. But who knows? All right, shot clock's going to cut me off here in just a few seconds. So get over to our website. Get your bracket turned in before it's too late. And don't forget to sign up your 2-person team for the Casper Classic. DP Dance are up next. Have a fantastic Tuesday. We'll be back at it again tomorrow. 6 a.m. Be there, be square.